I hope the presentation is visible.
Yes.
All right, all right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this wonderful webinar. You just have heard this wonderful song, which from SME Analytics side, from our side, we have prepared for industries and as well as MSMEs. So we would be playing this particular song. It's like an anthem. It's like an anthem for from our side to the nation, to all the MSMEs and to all the industries in India and abroad. So we will start with this wonderful session on idle assets or cash cow. It's part of the churn and burn series, which we started last week. So Nilesh Desai sir is he will be the one who will be talking about this particular wonderful on this wonderful session. So before starting with the webinar, I'll just introduce about Desai sir. He's the founder and CEO of SME Analytics. He's an MSME expert and is the author of the book The Unexplored Gold Mine: The Opportunities in the Revival of the Sick MSMEs. He's fond of writing daily newsletters to spread awareness about the MSME world. Mr. Desai has a vast experience of about 41 years in the engineering industry. Mr. Desai has widespread knowledge in MSMEs and he is working towards increasing the operation efficiency of the MSME units. He is a member in various committees and represents the interest of MSME. He has traveled extensively and has business associations in Australia. Thank you, Desai sir. Sir, we can proceed with the particular presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Pinaki. Let us start. Today is a very important topic. See, many of our MSME units are having a working capital problem. That problem is just arising many times because the diversion of short-term fund for long-term use, and because of low understanding of balance sheet and other financial parameters. Many entrepreneurs, where 80% of the units are there, they are not able to understand the difference between short-term fund and long-term fund, and they invest their short-term fund for creating assets, thus coming in a problem of working capital, which over a span of time reduces their reduces their profit generation or cash generation. And every business, every household has got a lot of idle assets. And see, generally MSME units will be having 2 to 3% blocked in idle assets, like unused machinery, spare parts, raw material, tools, furniture, fixtures, computers, like that, or many electronic gadgets. Repair karane ka hai, baad mein karayenge, that kind of this thing, and that asset is not utilized fully. There are many intangible assets which are also not tapped properly, like ideas, which can generate from your workers, staff, customers, suppliers, etc. Also, your data can be very precious, and interpreting it will help to improve profitability. Now, with a lot of things happening in machine learning and artificial intelligence, data available in MSME sector in their unit can also be used as increasing the profitability. So that is also an idle asset. So next slide, please. Effect of idle asset. If you effect of idle asset, see, it blocks the working capital, also storage space, Many of the people think that this factory is mine and I am the owner. So I have got luxury of keeping items wherever I like. But if you think a notional way, in latter part of my presentation, I'll be talking about the effect of rent or storage cleaning on your working cap, on your idle asset and deterioration of idle asset. Also, it creates inefficiency for production. Sometimes it may hinder the flow of material. Sometimes it will create unnecessary accidents. Many things can happen when the idle assets are there. So we have to take care, and its effect on working capital or its effect on profitability is very critical. I will, at the end of this presentation, I will give you one or two case studies which will help to understand how the idle asset can be converted into cash cow. Next slide, please. First thing is, let us understand how it is created, or you can say a root cause. When we start our small MSME unit, we start with the data, okay, this much is my market size and this is what market potential and this is the size of machinery and other things I require to produce, meet that. But once because that is a theoretical, no experience is there with you, and you start an enterprise, so that becomes to give it a CMA data or projections to the bank. You create something and take that machinery or whatever tools and tackles, furniture, fixer, etc. required. As you go into the market, you realize the machinery is not uh, enough to meet the demand. And what you will have to go for a higher capacity machine or something, or many things may not be as per market demand. This is for new unit. Existing unit also, as a lot of technological obsolescence is coming up, or a better production techniques are coming up, or better raw material is coming up, then you will have to scrap or you have to scrap or underutilize the old machinery and go for modernization. And when at that time, if you don't take action for either disposing of that machinery or putting a support system, that machines will become a liability. It will block your working capital. Many corporate sector companies, for various fears, they don't take action on that. But MSME, with a tight financial position and profitability expectation, if they allow these idle assets, uh, it will be very, very harmful. I was just going through about couple of days back, our Deputy Reserve Bank Governor has said that something drastically has to be done for reviving the MSME sector, because every stakeholder has understood all over world that MSME sector generates more employment per capital employed, and that is why all over world, after corona also, they have taken care immediately. A lot of relief measures has been given to MSME sector so that the employment absorption capacity of the sector increases. The other type of root causes, there are other kind of root causes. Last slide, please. Last slide, please. Other type of root causes such as design and planning failures. Many times by designing this thing or planning, we may have to scrap some inventory, tools, everything. Innovation failures. taxation or legal issue, asset cannibalization, wear and tear of asset or environment exposure are relatively difficult to control and make a comparatively small contribution to the total value of unused assets. But that does not mean this will be fully applicable to MSME sector. That there are certain things are more on a higher end of the MSME sector. Like say, because now the definition has changed and 50 crore to 250 crore turnover has come in medium scale industry. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. How to identify idle asset? See, problem wherever we have to, uh, wherever we can measure something, then correction is possible. So look for any asset that is not being used to its full potential. This is one of the shortest way where how we can define idle asset. See, we know as an entrepreneur what is the maximum potential of that machine or that person or that equipment or that tool, and if it is not used to fullest potential, then that becomes an idle asset. Uh, One or two case I will explain in the latter part. In a smartly run business, everything should be used to its fullest potential. That even means buying computers that are capable but not excessive. This means shopping wisely for computers instead of just ordering everyone MacBook Pro or whatever best available in the market, because many times it will be underutilized, and that is costing a lot of things. See, today I am using my mobile phone. I also don't know what are the functions that it can do. So I am underutilizing my smartphone. Many other people, they don't utilize many equipment available with
How
them
to
to its full
identify
potential.
idle assets? Look for
Huh?
any asset that is not being used to its full potential. In a
Yeah.
smartly run business, everything should be used to its full potential.
Yes. Think far and wide. For instance, perhaps the company's parking lot is far too large for the amount of employees you currently have. See, many large companies will have a parking lot and were rented. So these are all corporate sector things. For MSME also similar problems will be there, because when you are tied up with day-to-day problems, you don't look how to utilize the idle asset or some plot you have purchased away from your factory for some investment purpose, and you are not looked into its potential to contribute to revenue of your personal or your company. Consider letting this business know that they can rent out part of your parking lot for their business. It will bring additional revenue. Comes to if something sell it or move on, sentimentally has no place in business, neither does clutter. See, this is again a problem with MSME entrepreneur. They are sentimentally attached with many things which they have brought with a lot of difficulty and in it this thing. So they don't want to part with this thing. ये मेरे बाप ने दिया था, अभी मेरे पास चल रहा है, मैं क्यों बेचूं, अभी पैसे की जरूरत नहीं है. मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है, all these kind of things is coming in his mind. But sentiments has no value in a business. When you want to run a business, you should be ruthless in decision making. Anything which is idle is going to reduce your profitability or productivity or performance or anything. Can we go to next slide, please? See that productivity is happening as many hours per day as possible. See, if you, this is again, when we rent out an asset and work for 8 hours, that is 1/3, 24 hours are there. So that 16 hours rent you are paying, which you have to generate on 8 hours effort. So these kind of many things, interest you are paying, and if you are working 8 hours, this interest is a cost addition. So can you improve on that idle time? See, as one of the intangible asset with any entrepreneur is its time, a time of he himself and also his total team. So time is a resource which will never be coming back. So it has to be used, and it should be used most optimally. Otherwise, there will be a failures. Many things will come like this, where a time has got a component to cost or this thing. Say one business who serves a breakfast in the morning, or he serves the food up to say evening or late afternoon or so. Can you increase that more time? See, many places where you go to bar, they have got some happy hours. Why do they keep that happy hours? If you just think, they are trying to utilize the idle capacity in between lean hours to generate some revenue, so that they can become more viable. But there are some rules of 80-20 rule is many people are aware that 80% of your profit comes from your 20% customer, but remaining 20% customer also are critical, because you do not know when they will be converted into a more profitable thing. So you should not, you should never be looking idle asset to be created. Suppose if you are a brick and mortar business, uh, then you should be very careful, because if you have a website which works 24/7, or you have got your presentation, anybody in the world can locate, look at it
क्वेश्चन पूछो बोले तो उनके
24/7.
कंपनी की डिटेल्स भेज रहे हैं.
हाँ, क्या है भाई, कौन बोल रहे हैं बीच में? Who is talking in between?
No,
Can
it's
we-
okay, sir. I muted.
Okay, can we go to next slide? Sell. If you see any red flags, sell them. This is little harsh, but then identifying the idle asset and putting it to use is the best option. There's a book known as Goal, and in Goal, see, it's a large corporate sector. I would suggest many of my entrepreneurs friends to read that book, Goal, and it is written by a very renowned chairman who has undergone and gone through this process. It is his writing, and it is written in a story type of thing. So you will not get bored, but the meaning is very, very hard. And more particularly, all MSME entrepreneurs, I'll suggest they should read that book. See, any business would like to be having a lean, mean money-making machine. This is the purpose you have started your business. So anything which is making you fattier or fattier, you should look and cut down that fat. This thing now, not a place where see again. I think somebody has asked. Mm, Whether employees are a idle asset. Yes, employee is also idle asset if they are not utilized fully to their potential. And many MSME entrepreneurs do not understand the full potential of any human resources available with them. If they are not utilized in a proper teamwork or proper combination, or whatever skill available with them, or a higher skill fellow used for a lower skill job, because he is a subordinate, he has to perform. These kind of things are to be located, and definitely consciously our manpower cost, idle manpower, which is their brains should be fully utilized, their hands should be fully utilized, their uh, ideas, they generate lot of ideas which should be fully utilized as soon as it is generated. That is why not a place where employees must look like mice in the maze every time they want to walk across the building. See, this is a very hard thing, but yes, they should not be moving around without work here and there. Many times uh, we just not we don't notice this kind of uh, problem in our day-to-day operations. As mentioned with the parking lot, if you don't want to sell items, put them to work in other ways. I'll tell you one or two examples. I'll come later. This also include putting your employees to work. Wasted employees' productivity is lost. I don't know, some questions are coming. Okay. Productivity is seen in the business. Make sure always have something to them for them to do. Next slide, please. Where to start? See, we have given very big things. Where to start? See, the physical verification is an important tool, and exercise should be collect the following data. See, either an entrepreneur or their manager or their supervisor should do a physical verification. This is for a bottom of pyramid type of MSME, though it is applicable, but as the MSME grows to a larger this thing, small unit goes to middle and middle goes to large, the procedure has to change. But we can start with physical verification. And then when you verify physical machinery or scrap or tools and tackles, furniture, please note down whether the asset is in use, idle, obsolete, or scrapped, or to be scrapped. State of the asset, whether the asset is redeployable or not, like the cost of repair may be prohibitive, or the spare parts for the asset may no longer be available. See, many times the machine, because of technological obsolescence, many OEMs are changing their designs, and the old spare parts may not be available. And then if then it is not available, either we should go for jugaad or scrap that machine out or sell that off or whatever else. But uh, take a faster decision. You have to find out root cause of unused asset. Many times we don't go to root cause. And if you go for root cause, you will find out why did you purchase that, what is your sentiments, what are your theories at that time, and what has changed. That will give you new ideas to whether how to deploy that machinery in existing production line or things like that. Um, See, I have visited one unit in Nandyal making a large, very large plastic pipes. They were producing plastic pipes. See, that unit has grown over a span of time. So whenever the production capacity increases required, they put up one more shade and one more shade and one more production line, and that. At the end of 15, 20 years, their stores where I have visited, and 2 days I was going with a clean cloth. In the evening, when I come out, the dust accumulated in the store was such that by cleaning that, my clothes will change the color to the black. Now, does it mean with such a large production unit, they have not? When I went into detail of the stores, ये मशीनरी चली गई, मशीनरी स्क्रैप में बेच दी, स्पेयर इधर पड़े हुए हैं. ये किसके लिए है? तो ये मशीन के मध्य से निकाल के ये मशीन में डाल दिया, तो ये स्पेयर पार्ट ऑब्सोलेट. Like that, many things were there, and that was blocking. And when we meet their MDs and higher ups, they are running for 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs every time, every day. They have not looked into this. And according to me, in that unit, 7 to 8 crore worth of items were available where no management is ready to take decision. So this is the ideal case where the units could have been revitalized. Additional data for reusable asset, data that aids in redeployment. Example including photographs of the asset, vendor drawing, and asset dimension. The idea is to use that. See, it is not that everything we should scrap it out. If we can redeploy, can we redeploy by adding some, getting it repaired, or combining with some other production line where value addition by this machine may be low, but it will improve the productivity of other machine, or number of units it can make per shift or more because of adding this. This kind of combination has to be checked up. So we can start with physical verification is the underlining this thing. Next, please. Next slide, please. Managing step to manage idle asset. Establish asset database. This may be suitable for large corporate sector, but we can start with when we submit our balance sheet, we will have to give a depreciation statement and depreciated value. So we can look that and take a call. Okay, these are the machines or these are the assets available, and I should take calls every this thing. So we'll go to next slide. Next slide, please. Address each root cause. That is what I have told. Next step, use physical verification is the third thing. And next slide, please. Decide on storage versus sell. See, either you should keep that machine or that asset or sell. That decision has to be taken. And in small scale industry, MSME, I would advise the entrepreneur to be involved every 3 months to 6 months. Look at all the assets, because it will help to increase the working capital or a storage space, or reduction in accident or generation of new ideas that may help. That book of goal also is saying that very clearly. It requires a top-down approach, particularly for idle asset in the organization. Next slide, please. How to eliminate? Start with the stuck-up inventory produced at the starting of the entrepreneur's journey by reusing it or recycling in different format by doing minor changes according to the demand of your customer. Try to sell the previous inventory at first. It will reduce the wear of outdated problem which can rise. Do not buy machines, spare parts or tools which are less used at once and try to borrow them or take it on rent. Many times this is, suppose I was doing a fabrication. I purchased one Hydra machine to lift to movement so that I can produce faster. And then slowly I realized investing 10-12 lakhs of rupees on one Hydra. But so then we started taking more erection jobs where I fabricate and I send it to the site. That way the productivity has gone up or cost has gone down. But I did not calculate whether real cost benefit has come or not. So these are the critical things. I made many mistakes in my entrepreneur journey. Outsource some of the tasks which are done once or twice in a year. Machines which have lost their production capacity, sell them on online or offline marketplace. People are there ready to buy them at lower price. As we sell products online, we need to provide proper and detailed description about the asset or scrap to be sold so that the anticipated buyer has apprehension in the proposal for the assets. Next slide, please. This is 5 whys. This was a Toyota production system, and this was they have applied these 5 whys. Why this equipment failed? They started with because it is overheated. The answer, why did it overheat? Because the cooling fan failed. Why did the cooling fan fail? Because regular servicing was missed. Why was it service missed? Because we use a paper tracking system, it fell through the cracks. Why don't we dispose it off and have an automated preventive maintenance system? So from starting from the failure of the equipment, we came to this thing. This is a theoretical example, but if we go for 5 whys, we will be able to understand the root cause of our decision while we bought that particular item to this. This is a basic idea, and many MSME entrepreneur can apply that, and they can change, they can understand the change in their psychology from the starting to the level where they are today. Next slide, please. This is a case study. PC and company has changed his business from manufacturing pipe fitting or flanges to pharma raw material trading. Hence his time was consumed for buying and selling pharma product, thus did not have time to look into machinery and land for PC and company at GD Matla. I went along with him to factory and asked pointed question like, will you like to restart? He said no. Will your son after 10 years intend to run? He said no. Then I took permission to dispose of all machinery which have become idle and use that money for construction of factory shed and rent out. All construction works was done by selling machinery and rent deposit, not affecting the pharma business. Thus, we have changed the idle asset into revenue generating asset in 1989-90. Today, it gives him substantial rent in his retired life. Similarly, recently, one herbal manufacturing company I visited, there are he is a sick unit, and then I went to his factory. Then I asked why this stainless steel plates. ये तो मैं कल टैंक बनाऊंगा. बोला कल टैंक बनाएगा कि आज तेरे को वर्किंग कैपिटल की तकलीफ है, उसको यूज करेगा. Then he has changed certain idle assets. Anything? Idle asset into a useful thing. And after 6 or 8 months, he is coming and saying that I liked your idea to identify idle asset, and he has improved his production system considerably by what is, you can say, production mapping, and wherever he has found some problem, he has used this kind of unused asset in a useful form, and thus he is coming out of his problem slowly. So like these many sick units, many units, I have gone and tried this about I think 83, 84, one prominent industrialist today had the same problem. Every day in the morning, he sends his clerk to borrow 200 rupees from his friend with a promise in the evening he will return. While this was going on for 2, 3, 4 months, 200, 500. Then I asked him, what is the cost of borrowing this 200? क्या 200 रुपया तो एक फोन करता हूँ आ जाते हैं. But you understand the cost of phone call, disturbing his friend, sending his person by petrol vehicle to bring that money and again to give in the evening back. This made me to think why this problem is coming. Then I went around his shop floor, found out various scrap items which were lying. Immediately I make him to sell it off and said this, he raised at that time 30,000 rupees. I said that money will be always available with your accountant. It will not, you will not use this. This way, I have reduced that cost of borrowing and time pressure. So these are the things which are to be used. And next slide, please. This is a subject which is very close to my heart today, because every MSME unit generates a lot of data in their regular business, but they do not understand the value of that data. Your data in your computers about your customers, suppliers, more particularly once in a while used item is very critical. And by proper analysis, you will get new ideas to grow your business. Let me tell you, I have revived one unit, particularly using his old data, extracting that data, asking pointed question, and that unit in the end of 4 years, he is growing so fantastically well that his strength has increased. So use of data as a asset has to be optimally done. See, repeat customers, what is their behavior, your critical item once in a while required, that data not available, you struggle whole thing, and that particular machine or particular equipment will be idle for locating from where we bought that spare 3 years back. So these are all critical things which has to be there. Then see, second thing, now I am working on whether our workers are an asset or not. See, theoretically, everybody says human capital management is very critical. Do we MSME have found out a way how we can measure our human capital? When Infosys says my human capital value is this much, very good, very good. See, Narayan Murthy also has to say my assets are going to sleep in the nights. This is also about 20, 30 years back. They leave, they are assets. That are we using that asset? Your workers, staff are fountainhead of ideas, and many times they are not given an opportunity to vent out. So create a system, say once in a month or once in a quarter, and the benefits are tremendous. See, the Japanese in 1950s and 60s, they adopted Kaizen, and today Japan is facing a different kind of problem where interest rates are practically minus. If you want to deposit your money, you will have to pay banks or something, some money to keep that money. That is a different kind of problem than our country is facing. This is the most neglected asset, and it's practically free. And the third thing is a brand name. Brand name, your brand, can it be used? Can you use your brand to get your item under your quality control to be manufactured, thus increasing the revenue source? These are all idle assets, which your brand is another idle asset. It can be used for generating profit. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. At a glance, all MSME units will have 2 to 3%, maybe more, up to 10% blocked in idle asset. This thing, 5 Ys has to be followed. Intangible asset is a case cow, which I explained. I've explained the case studies also. So with this, I will will try to end that. Please, next slide, please. There is a shortage of time. Recently, we have been awarded a certificate as one of the hottest 10 startup in Hyderabad, and this is the certificate given by HICIA. Next slide, please. These are our activities where we can help. We have got Babaji, that is business analytics, business augmentation, growth information system. We provide mentoring services. We work on, based on a premium model, we want to develop Z score, which will take care of equity and other things to manage insolvency risk. In this thing, we are interested to develop that using artificial intelligence, machine learning. Next slide, please. This is the same thing again put in a in a flyer. This thing, my numbers and other things, my co-founders' numbers are already given there in the scrolling. Next slide, please, because we are running short of time. You can subscribe my YouTube channel, which will help you to get all other past recordings for 2-3 years available on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Next slide. This thing. Thank you, everybody. Can we go to question answer session?
Yes, sir. We'll go there.
Yeah. Sorry, I've taken a little more time. There are a lot of questions.
Yes, sir. So we'll start with the first question. Can the useful life of an asset be changed?
Yes, it can be changed. It depends on your maintenance of that item. And see, generally OEM gives a recommendatory schedule for maintenance, but we neglect. So if we can follow that and take care of that equipment as per the prescribed description, it is possible to increase the life of that asset. Also now, with help of IoT, preventive maintenance can be done much earlier, because many equipment will be having bearings, oil seals, things like that, which are minor in the cost, but when they stop working, they create a big trouble. So yes, it is possible to do that following the given guidelines by OEM or by experienced person. Thank you asking that question.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You have stated
Yes, sir.
that is a human asset as well as other kind of the permanent, maybe the tangible asset. My question,
Tangible
that,
and
how
intangible
you,
asset.
yeah,
Yes.
how do you term as a human asset? We should say as a human resource. We cannot compare the human being as a machinery, Because
Sir, my-
machinery you can replace it, but human resource you cannot replace it. Suppose if we take like an example of like our that is a Dr. APJ Kalam. We cannot say that we can get very soon a Dr. APJ Kalam who became the father of missile technology of the country.
You
So
are
we
right,
cannot
Dr.
turn as an
Yadav.
asset of the human resource. Hello. Hello.
Workers, super. They all are a human capital of that organization. See, if you see, now we are trying to develop a software tool for measuring the soft skill of workers. Because according to me, I was an entrepreneur for 41 years. So according to me, the soft skill of workers or workers are the people who are contributing to profit of the organization in a considerable way. In manufacturing companies, the cost of labor is 5 to 12%. Can we reduce that by using some intervention of soft skill, including technology, by 1 or 2%? This is the question we are working after working on Babaji's for a quite considerable long time. Our idea is to increase the operational efficiency. Yes, Dr. Abdul Kalam cannot be replaced, but his legacy is still remembered and people are getting inspired by it. Dr. Radhakrishna's this thing has been inspiring many youth. So that loss cannot be replaced, but it can be replicated or it can become aspirational. Thank you asking that question, doctor.
Yeah, so the point is they must be motivated, not like as a machinery tool we should use them.
Sir, the question is how we have to start somewhere. So motivation, yes, for them, financial motivation is working better than any other thing. Tu acha hai, tu aage ye kar lega. That baad mein whatever they say, because once upon a time I had 150 workers, and their whispers, when we talk something, that whispers are demotivating us. Why did I do this? So there are many questions. Human management is a very difficult question. A lot of behavioral aspects are coming in view, in picture. So let us see. But they are clearly can be motivated or used better for improving the product operational efficiency of the unit. That is my idea. Thank you asking,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Yadav. Can we go to next?
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir. So what do you think? What are the important elements for asset valuation?
For MSME, the asset valuation, the simple starting tool can be a depreciation record maintained by in our balance sheet. And see, when you want to sell or utilize more or replace it, then all other valuation methods will come. Or if you are in trouble and you are facing some bank sufracy notice or DIT notice, then this thing will come. Otherwise, starting point can be your statement of depreciation, which is generally attached to your balance sheet. That is my opinion. Very good question.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Bhanu Prakash.
How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. Fine.
Thank
Regarding
you.
are talking about depreciation in that wear and tear, obsolescence. Yes, sir. And everything we will consider. Regarding goodwill, there is no depreciation. Yes, sir. Land. Yes, sir. Every time it is appreciated. So at this scenario, so coming into our MSME, they had land and buildings, furniture and fittings, so on and so forth. So at this time, how would you calculate the obsolescence? That part is also considered while we are calculating depreciation in a fixed installment method, written down, or annuity, or something.
Yeah,
So
many.
it is the case. How would we consider all these things? And secondary, so we can predict by using AI, we can predict analytics and what you said, judge scores in Sarfasi Act. In Sarfasi Act, the asset value is mentioned. Yes, sir. IT Act, if you had taken IT Act 1956, yes, sir, some percentage has given 15 years of tenure, every year 10%. Yes, sir. So it is a case. So how our productivity analysis will be useful to the MSMEs, whether any sort of a case study is there or else are we developing on that arena? So why? Because 90% of MSMEs in India are not recognized. Yes, sir, they are in informal sector, not formal sector, informal sector. So no registrations, yes, sir, so on and so forth. Hence, what I want to mention, so everything is registered, everything is registered. So their assets, yes, sir, their liabilities, everything we can based on that. So we will develop one model. We will suggest MSME entrepreneurs. So you are in red, you are in blue, you are in green. Yes, green path we will suggest. Then afterwards, what happens? So the entire country will be benefited. The GDP will be, yes, sir, increased, and everything will be. So rather than that, rather than registering MSMEs into the main fray, we can't. You see in USA, UK, Australia, somewhere. So even small unit is also recognized and registered with the MSME Act or SME Act or whatever it may be. So the governments will have to take some sort of initiative, policy initiative. Every MSME must be registered and they have to submit it annual reports. Annual reports. Why? Because now we are in immediate COVID third wave. So how many waves will come and what about the survival and sustenance of MSMEs? No one knows. No one knows in this scenario. So whether are you developing any sort of analytic platform considering obsolescence, wear and tear, so on and so forth, and the registration and everything. HICIA, I had seen. We got HICIA also. It's a. First of all, I am congratulating you for your yes sir efforts, tireless striving efforts. Yes sir.
The credit goes to my whole team and my co-founders. Your question is quite lengthy, Dr. Bhanu Prakash ji. But yes, see, we can use artificial intelligence, machine learning. हमारे हिंदी में एक कहावत है, सोते आदमी को जगा सकते हैं, जो सोने का ढोंग करता है उसको नहीं जगा सकते. So the many MSME entrepreneurs, government मेरे को पैसा नहीं देती, क्या register करना, they work. Yes, with GST coming in, a lot of units have to come in formal sector from informal, but still there are high limits, 40 lakhs or 1.5 crore and all that. It will take its own time, but slowly they are coming in understanding. See, Jandan Yojana, or they say JAM, all that is coming into slowly data is getting collected and government is also trying to use big data analytics and artificial intelligence, and they are developing center of excellence in many these things. Somehow our Telangana government also can do something. We have suggested them. If there is a data analytics available for farmers, why we cannot develop for MSME? We have got at least 2.5 lakhs registered MSME in in Telangana. So that is a good platform, though there may be much higher. And now with the change in definition, retail and wholesale has come in MSME sector. So this 2 lakhs must have gone to 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. We don't know. See, as you suggested in Australia, I am in Australia only, and everything here there is a you know they obey. They are all more educated. They are obeying that discipline. That discipline will take maybe small time, maybe a decade to come in, because education level is increasing, foreign travel integration is increasing. It will definitely come to India. Yesterday, I was participating in one of the venture capital for MSME or private equity for MSME webinar, and the eagerness they have shown as a speaker to invest in MSME, particularly growing in MSME, is uh, is a very good step. They are indicating, and 100 daughter funds are likely to come up, which will catalyze about 2 lakh crores uh, in next 2 to 3 years. There are changes coming in. But I am really happy that 2, 3, 4 doctors have come today to question me. I am very happy.
No, sir. My opinion is financial
Yes, sir.
independent. Yes, sir. Financial integrity. If we inculcate such sort of good habits among entrepreneurs, so automatically, the new entrepreneurs in the ecosystem, while they are registering, while they are starting up, so they will register automatically. Their balance sheets, annual reports will be reflected in one site, MSME site, with the government of India. It has to maintain big data. So based on that data, in USA, they are maintaining. Based on that data, we will give some sort of suggestions. Yes, sir. We will give impeccable insights. Yes, sir. For their survival, success, sustenance. So whatever it may be. So in this direction, I hope in this direction, the future MSMEs will come, and we will encourage those MSMEpreneurs in those lines. What my
I
personal
agree
opinion.
fully with you. See, any policy making body will be requiring the ground level data.
Yes,
See, but they are trying, they are suggesting, they are canvassing. But MSME entrepreneurs, 25 साल में 1969 we nationalized the bank. The benefit, real benefit has not gone to real entrepreneurs. Other people who can twist the system, they got the benefit. So they are all गवर्नमेंट का कुछ फायदा नहीं है, अपन अपना करते रहो, रोटी कपड़ा मकान से बंद करो. That is all. But that is slowly changing. The startup ecosystem is having a rub-off effect on MSME also. But it is at the top end of the MSME. Next question, please. We are
thank you.
running short of time, I think. Pinaki, you just tell me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, I'll put some important questions to you for
Fast.
discussion. There are 3 questions.
Uh,
So, Hanumantlu sir has stated something like he has said, convert all idle assets as ideal assets.
See, yes, he is rightly said, but the definite, he has IDLE की जगह पे IDAAL. That means you utilize your assets to maximum for the particular purpose you have brought in for business. Keeping that business has to create increase the profitability. Business has to create value for all stakeholders. And the recent definition change in MSME is indicating that now we can grow faster without restriction up to 250 crores. So that should be, there is a necessity for all MSME entrepreneurs to expand their vision to grow up to 250 crores. Next question, please.
If idle asset is an inactive asset, then why not consider it as a scrap in balance sheet?
So these are all accounting jugglery. Yes, but it does not solve. It can reduce your profitability, but you don't solve the problem of long-term working capital generation, and also cost of storage of that equipment, cost of maintaining and cleaning that equipment, which adds into cost. today every manufacturer has to look towards China plus one strategy, which is been adopted by many large countries, many large manufacturer MNCs, and that is why our PLI scheme is wanting to encourage that that particular manufacturing capability. So we cannot afford any cost inefficiencies, and idle asset is one of the thing which adds the cost with under your nose without your knowledge. That is why it has to be regularly looked into. Thank you. Next question, please.
What is the difference between inactive asset and idle asset?
See, I will go to our household item. Our grandmother has given a sari to our wife when we got married. Now that sari has no particular value except sentimental value कि grandmummy ने दिया है इसलिए रखो. See, that is if we can put that sari either in a museum, then people will get aspiration for designing and other things, but it is lying in the cupboard. So these are the kind of problems. Idle. The question is, what is the question, Pinaki, again?
Question is, what is the difference between inactive asset and idle asset? That
So
was the question.
this sari is an inactive asset. A mixie in your house is a relatively inactive this thing. Without that, you cannot make your chutney or many other things. But how much time you use that equipment in 24 hours time? So these are the similar things are available in our factory. That is why rent, borrow, or keep a common pool of something. So that will help us to reduce the cost. Next question, please.
In this pandemic, can we make use of idle assets? How?
Sir, idle asset has nothing to do with pandemic. It is an attitude of you. How do you want to deal with it? Yes, see, if that idle asset price may be depressed because everybody wants to have cash for this thing. So it may not be appropriate time to sell the asset. But yes, you should take the learned view of that, whether your cash flow is more critical or storage cost is more critical, or right price you are getting for asset or not, because now lot of technological solutions are available, like there are various websites, used machinery websites or things like that, where you can advertise and get a better price. Pandemic has nothing to do. It's an attitude which has to be having with MSME entrepreneur. Next question, please.
Very interesting question, sir. Can cash be an idle asset?
Yes. Yes. See, that is what one of the suppose you have borrowed 1 crore rupees from the bank at say 12% interest. So per day you are paying roughly 3,000 rupees or 3,300 rupees interest. Before the closing hour, if you deposit that 1 lakh available with you as a cash sale today at this thing, your interest cost will be reduced by 33 rupees per day. So that is why idle cash is a idle cash is of a loss. That is why Marwadis are more successful, because they don't allow their money to be keeping idle. Okay. Next question, please.
Next question is, sir, idea is intangible asset. How?
Sir, anywhere today, last year we have produced 46 unicorn. The Darwin box is the first unicorn of this year from Hyderabad. How they have started? They have started with an idea. They have started with a pain point, what they felt in this thing. We started with a pain point. My own case, why did HISA give me this certificate? I realized the pain point because as an entrepreneur, I used to take my balance sheet to my chartered accountant. कि भाई tax कितना भरना पड़ेगा? With the same balance sheet, I went to the bank to get more loan. But that is giving 52 ratios, which can give me how I can improve my operational efficiency. So we have to be very careful in everything. Next question, please.
Mr. Kishore Shetty has actually asked something. He has asked, like, need guidance on starting a viable industry.
Sir, I am in Australia at this moment. If you are in Hyderabad, my number is available, or anywhere. You can call me on WhatsApp and we can have one-to-one discussion. But please keep in mind, I am 5.5 hours ahead. So now it is 4 o'clock in India or 5 o'clock in India. Here it is 10:30 in the night. Keep that in mind. I am available to call, discuss with you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kishore, please do reach out to Desai, sir, anytime. So we'll share you the email address and everything so that you can communicate with sir. So 2 more questions to go.
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up immediately. One question is, in large industries, not all machines are used for production as per their product demand. So can we consider the unused machines as idle assets?
Yes, definitely it can be done. And managers in large companies, managers will be there. They have got 3 kind of problems which I am not suitable for MSME, because corporate sector, if they sell off the machinery, the profit in that quarter will get depressed. And that is why they don't want to dispose of or something, or they have got a fear if that machine has been bought by my competitor, that will be harming my production. And third thing, that executive thing, this is not right time to sell. These are the 3 major challenges in big companies. But they also have to take rationally the decision. If they don't do it, see, long-term investors will definitely hammer that share price down. Thank you.
So one more question. Sir,
Yeah.
the selling price of asset is less than the future scrap value of asset. Should we keep the asset or sell it?
Sir, you have to take the cost of storage and cost of compounding interest. If you sell the item today, and when you want to sell in future, what is the discounted cash flow method you can calculate? But always see, there will be better opportunity if you have got cash in your hand. So you have to make cost benefit analysis, but take every cost into consideration. Don't just take ये इतना पैसा आ रहा है, बेच देना, नहीं बेच देना, कल ये खरीदने गए तो. You should go through how Harshad Mehta created a replacement theory of a associated cement company there. That is a history, but you can get a guidance from there.
Sir, one last question by Mr. Piyush Hirwani.
Yeah.
You considered if we are not using brand effectively, then it is also a state of idle assets. I mean, there is
Yes.
always a state that the brand can enter an all new industry. So can we say that brand value will always be an idle asset somewhere?
Theoretically, yes, but you should also consider See, every brand, see, when Hammam was purchased by Unilever from Tata's, they have killed that brand because see, otherwise their own brand like Lux or Lifebuoy will get killed. So many times brand also are necessary, or a different product. Suppose if you are making some electrical heater in particular brand, and if you make a AC in the same brand, there will be conflict of this thing in consumer mind. It will affect. So you will have to be carefully nurture your brand to the product category where you are having a expertise. Yes, it can be an idle asset. But in MSME sector, that may not be very effective because MSME sector is sensitive to personal relation or a local market or district wise. So personal brand is more critical in that small areas. I am talking about the bottom of pyramid of MSME. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And sir, next topic also you can share with everybody.
I will request you to talk about that.
Yes, it would be inventory management. Next topic would be, please do register. We'll share the links and everything to you all so that you can again join next week. And then it's a series. So we want that all of you continue to come so that you find a link between this webinar and the next webinar. Since it's a series we are going on right now.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.
And first February at 11 o'clock, budget will be coming out. Be prepared for big announcements. Thank you.
Thank you.